Today we're going to be talking about a maladaptive daydreamer's personality and how it can shift and fluctuate from time to time. Paras are very, very real to any maladaptive daydreamer, and because they're so real, they can have effects on our personality just like real people can. For example, if you hang around your friend a lot, you might pick up different voice quirks, you might start saying sayings that they say, or you might just generally start acting more like them just because you're around them so often. They can influence your personality and influence who you are, and paras have that same effect as well. In fact, I find that paras have a way bigger effect since they're always with you. They're constantly with you. You can't really go a day without interacting with them, whereas you can go a day without seeing your friends. But it's so much harder to not see a para during a day because they're constantly with you. There's constantly distractions. There's constantly just things that trigger them and trigger daydreams. It's very, very hard to avoid a para. And as a result, they have some effects on my personality, I'd say. Paras influence your personality like real people do. So it's just like if you have two separate groups of friends, or even just two different friends, or even your family and friends, just two different groups of people. You're probably not going to act the exact same with both groups of people. You're going to have different aspects of your personality that you show off to one group and that you don't show to the other. So for example, I have friends from my high school in my drama that were in my drama class, and when I'm with them, I'm much more put together, much more calm, much more thoughtful, basically much more mature and grown up, I'd say. Whereas I have another group of friends from, also from high school, from my soccer academy, that I'm much more fun and carefree. I'm also much more concerned and kind of looking out for them, because that's just the different relationships I have with them. They're both me, but just different aspects of me that I show to different people. When I'm daydreaming about a para, I often intake some of their qualities into myself for the time that I am daydreaming about them. These can be small things, like just kind of little sayings, or just little attitude adjustments to certain things. Or they can be a lot bigger, like I will full-on act like them if I'm in a deep enough daydream about them. This all kind of ties back into something I mentioned in the first mini mad moments. But when I'm daydreaming about para, that para usually becomes my personality for the day. So I'll wake up in the morning and they all have specific outfits. So if I'm daydreaming about Andy, I'll put on Andy's outfit. If I'm daydreaming about Katie, I will braid my hair like Katie. I start the day kind of acting like someone else, like I'm going to be playing their part in the story of reality today. And just like they have different clothes that are for them, they have different personalities. So I will adapt my personality to reflect them, since this is their moment, this is their daydream, so to speak. There's usually two ways the paras will influence my personality. The first one being they come into reality. This is very much like idealized reality, it's very much like a daydream, but if a para is physically here in reality with me, if Mayan is standing next to me, then I'll be acting differently with Mayan than I would if, say, Leia was next to me, because they're two different people and I have two different relationships with. And how I act after those daydreams impacts how I react really for the rest of the day with the people in my actual life. There will be days where I will act much more cold and kind of closed off and just kind of overall snarky after I daydream about the Silver Shade, where there are other days where I will act much more soft, much more kind of beacon of light, like Bailey. And those two characters create two very different versions of me that interact with the real world. The second way that they kind of influence my personality is they just kind of exist in the space around me for quite a bit of time. Like, it sounds weird, but they won't be there. Normally when I'm daydreaming about them in reality, they will be there. Like, they have, like, I can imagine where they would be if this was a real conversation. I can imagine them moving as if a human would be moving, and I can imagine them just being a person. But sometimes it's just kind of like an aura. Like, the aura of one of my paras is just kind of around. It's not really a daydream, because I'm still, like, I'm not interacting with them. I'm not interacting with their world, and they're not really interacting with this one. It's just their presence is nearby. And that's probably when my personality is influenced the most, actually. It's different because that's harder to snap out of. A daydream, you can get snapped out of if you need to be back in reality. If you need to be here and productive here, it's not pleasant, but you can be snapped out of it. When it's not really a daydream, it's just kind of a mist, I'd say. That's really difficult to snap out of. It can be done, but it's just much harder because you're still in reality. The thing about snapping back from a daydream is something will happen, usually in reality, that your brain just kind of goes, shoot, we need to be here for this because of this reason. And something in the real world will usually trigger that, either whether it's a person, an alarm, or like just kind of a sound or something. But there's something that will go like, we're supposed to be doing something. When you're still in reality, it's like you'll still hear the things from reality while they're present, I'll say. But it doesn't snap you out of it because you're not gone in the first place. It can't snap you back if you've never left. I have like a base go-to personality for whenever I do get snapped back. That is very, very basic and bare bones, I would say. Like, I've purposely made a personality where it's just very kind of neutral, just agree with what's going on, just kind of get things done, just kind of be agreeable to an extent, because I oftentimes won't have the energy or the motivation to fight back or argue back against anything if I'm just coming out of a daydream, especially if I've been snapped back out of it. This base personality is probably the one that at least my family sees the most, especially recently, since I don't think I've fully been present in reality for months at this point. It's like I've been Bailey for months. Since probably August, honestly. I've been Bailey. I haven't been like the same Megan that went to school last March. Like, the Megan from a year ago is not the same as the me today. I have been daydreaming about Bailey and about my Parame Bailey so much that she's just kind of taken over. Her influence on my personality has been the most constant since last March, I'd say, even. And I don't know if that means, like, it's been a year now since really she's kind of been taking over constantly like she has been. So am I just Bailey now? Is this all gonna go away once I can go and actually see real people again? Like, I don't know. Not that I would complain. Who doesn't want to say that they could be their Parame for the rest of their, like, outside life? It's just weird because, like, you kind of don't know who you are, because Bailey is still a separate entity from me. She's my main Parame, but she's still Bailey. She still has her own desires, her own wants, her own personality that is completely separate from me. It's what I aspire to be, but it's I acknowledge that I have my like flaws and that I am not Bailey. That's why I have other pairs that represent other aspects of my personality. But if I don't have an opportunity to show off that personality for coming up to a year, and I've been replacing that one with Bailey, at what point does Bailey just become the main personality? I feel like my personality was never really that consistent to begin with, though. Like, my personality very much changed based on the role I needed to fill at the time. Like, when I was a stage manager for the school plays in high school, I was very stern, very put together, very professional, organized, and I was able to jump into that role very, very easily after school. And then in class, like 10 minutes earlier, I'd be very, very cheerful, very immature, very just goofy, I'd say, and very lighthearted. And I could make that switch flawlessly in a span of 10 minutes. Usually less than that. I guess the whole point of this video is just, if your paras can influence you like your friends influence you, except to a greater extent, I don't know which is the real personality, which is the real me. I do realize that this has been, like, this whole question has come from just not needing to have a consistent personality, I'd say. Like, it's really just me in my room at this point. Like, I talked to my parents a little bit, and I talked to my sibling, but, like, there's not really a need for a constant personality anymore, because I'm just sitting here doing schoolwork on Zoom. So, like, as soon as I can see real people again, I know I'll be able to figure it out. But honestly, we'll be okay. We've managed to make it this far, and we'll make it so much further. We just need to keep coping for a little bit, and eventually we'll find the method that works for us, and we'll be happy with ourselves. Anyway, thank you for taking another step with me on my never-ending journey, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!